Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to do an all one brand makeup tutorial for you using all MAC products. I just recently purchased this palette here. This is the Mischief Minx palette. Oh, hi Sam. So here's what it looks like. I liked this one a lot better than the other palettes that they had to offer. There was one that had all matte shades in it, but I decided to go for this one here. I felt like it was just a little bit more wearable and easy to work with. So I'm going to start with a little bit of soft ochre paint pot. Mine has seen better days, as you can see. I do have a fresh one sitting in the bottom of my makeup cart over here, but I don't want to pull that out quite yet. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this to my eyelids from the lash line all the way up to just underneath the eyebrow. Your eyeshadow will stand out much more if you use a base. Even if your eyelids aren't on the oily side, I would still recommend using some kind of base. Your eyeshadow is just going to look so much better if you use a base. I like to use soft ochre because it's more of a flesh tone color for me, but you can use anything that you like. From the MAC Warm palette, I'm going to go into Brulee, which is this color here, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of that to my eyelid using a big brush. This is a MAC 227, and I'm just going to press this in all over. Because my paint pot is a little bit on the well-loved side, doesn't set quite as fast, so I like to go over it with a little bit of a flesh tone eyeshadow just to make sure everything sets nicely so that when I do put my eyeshadow on, I don't have any skipping. Alright, so because in this palette there isn't a very good sort of like crease transition color, I'm going to go into my Warm palette from MAC. This is one of the pre-made palettes, and I'm going to take a little bit of Saddle and run that right through my crease. That's going to act as my transition color. We're doing just a simple sort of everyday look for today's tutorial. Something that you can put together fast without much effort. Oh, and I'm using a MAC 221 brush to apply this. So a little bit of advice I wanted to give to my more mature friends. If you have crepey eyelids, or the skin on your eyelids is very loose, what I would recommend is pressing the eyeshadow in first, and then once you have it pressed in, just kind of lightly go over the top and blend it. What happens when we get older and our skin starts to show signs of aging, it kind of reminds me of like a Venetian blind. So let's say you have a Venetian blind and it's closed and you paint it. It looks like the paint is on there evenly, it's distributed well, but then as soon as you open that blind, you can clearly see that there are gaps, right? It's kind of the same thing when you have wrinkles on your face or your eyelids. You put color on, and it may look like you got in all the areas, but let's say you smile or just pull on your skin just a little bit, you're going to see where product wasn't able to get sort of in there evenly. Same thing on your eyelids too. So when you're applying even like your base, maybe start by pressing or using your finger to press the product in so that you know that everything is evenly covered. The colors in this palette are actually beautiful. This one here on the bottom, it's kind of like this one right here. It's kind of like an orangey tone when you swatch it. Kind of like a gold. See, there's like a goldish sort of orange. It's actually very pretty. I'm having a hard time deciding what colors I want to use. Also, the highlight in here is gorgeous too. This would look really pretty on your eyes. Show you that one there, just a quick little finger swatch. So, but I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to stick with this bottom color here, and I'm going to go ahead and apply that all over my lid. I'm going to use a MAC 242 brush. This is a 242. This is one of my favorite brushes for applying eyeshadow, especially if I want to be precise. It's nice and thin, the tip is narrow, and it holds its shape well. So this brush is actually really good for applying glitters too. And so what I'm going to do is press this in all over my lid. I actually might switch to my finger and then go back over it using a brush. Now what I'm doing is just going over it with a brush and making sure I'm taking the color all the way up to my crease. I'm going to go back in with a little bit of Saddle through the crease, just so everything is blended out nicely. And I don't have any sort of edges there. Alright, I'm going to use a little bit of the Prep and Prime. Oh, did I say I was moving on to my face? Yeah, obviously. I'm moving on to my face and I'll come back to my eyes. I'm going to use a little bit of the Prep and Prime highlighter in Bright Forecast. And this is a corrector also. This is a peach color. And I like to use this in the corners. I keep hearing weird noises. I like to use it in the inner corners here where I have just a little bit of discoloration. I'm kind of like bluish purple in there. The peach color in this corrector neutralizes bluish purple shades to make your skin look more even. And I usually use my fingers just to press that in. Next for concealer, I'm going to use my Pro Longwear. This is my holy grail, all-time favorite concealer ever, hands down. I've used many concealers, and I always come back to MAC Pro Longwear because, in my opinion, for my skin and what I like, that is the best. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that with a MAC 2. I can't believe I have forgotten the numbers on the brushes. This is a MAC 286. It's a duo fiber brush. And so what I do is I start by pressing it in. I usually use a sponge, but I wanted to use all MAC products today, so we're going to use a brush. What I do is I usually start by pressing it in to make sure that I get into all those wrinkly areas, especially around my eyes now. So in the areas where I know I have issues with wrinkling, I press in more, and then I'll kind of go in and buff the product into my skin. I start light and I build. So if I have a day where I feel like I really need a lot of coverage, I'll add several layers. Rarely do I just apply a ton and hope for the best. I think it's easier to start with layers because you have more control over how much product is being put on your skin. And then I like to go in and press with my fingers and kind of use the heat from my fingers to spread the product around even more. I don't have a primer from MAC. I did. I ran out. I never repurchased it because okay, before I apply any foundation, I'm going to use a little bit of bronzer. And so for bronzer, cream bronzer from MAC, what I like to use is Match Master Concealer because it's on the warm side. I have 7.5. That's what it looks like. It does have a bit of a yellow undertone to it, but it's on the warmer side. So what I like to do is apply this first on the tops of my cheekbones and anywhere that I would want some sort of bronzing. I'll do that first before I put my foundation on. So to blend that out, I'm going to use a MAC 159. It's another duo fiber brush. And I'm not contouring, I'm bronzing. There's a difference between contouring and bronzing. Contouring, you're trying to create angles. Bronzing, you're trying to recreate how your face would look after you've been out in the sun. So basically, I'm just going over the tops of my cheekbones. If I was contouring, I would come underneath, but I'm coming right on top. When you want to bronze, you want to think about where the sun would hit your face naturally. So you think about if the sun was up here, you know, it would be the top of your forehead, your nose, top of your cheekbones. You can even go across the top of your nose with it if you want to. But the reason that I'm doing this first is because I don't want it to look too strong. So doing this first and then going over it with my foundation will tone it down a little bit. I am going to go over it with a powder bronzer, just because for me, and living in the South and it being hot outside, if I start with the cream and then layer a powder on top, it lasts longer. Also, if you have more mature skin, you might want to think about sticking to just cream products, you know, cream bronzers, cream blushes, as opposed to using a powder. Because powders tend to matte down your skin, take some of the natural shine away. So I find that with more mature skin, creams usually work out best. For foundation, I'm going to use MAC Studio Water Weight. I have been using Face and Body, but today I want just a little bit more coverage. Face and Body has actually been my go-to this entire summer. But for today's video, I'm going to use the Water Weight. Water Weight is actually one of my all-time favorite foundations. I just really like it. And then to apply that, I'm going to use a MAC 196. I think this is actually the brush that came out with this. I can't remember. You know what kills me is I'm using NC25 and I feel like it's too light. I've gotten a little bit of a tan, I guess. I had to put my hair back because it was getting on my nerves. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and set my under eye area with a little bit of my Mineralized Skin Finish. This one is in Medium Plus. I used to have the, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. The white powder, you know, like what IT Cosmetics has and NARS and everybody else. The HD, like white HD powder, but I don't have that anymore. I wasn't a big fan of MAC's powder, so once it was gone, I never repurchased it. So to apply this, I'm using a MAC 133. I love this brush. This is one of my most favorite brushes. Okay, and then to lightly powder my face, I'm going to use a little bit of this. This is the MAC Prep and Prime CC Color Correcting Powder. This one is in Adjust. This one is my favorite of all of the color correcting powders because it just adds a little bit of warmth to your skin, and it also helps to even your skin tone out just a little bit more. I'm going to use a paddle brush. This is a 135 from MAC to apply this. And so what I'm doing is just pressing this in. I love this brush too. It's one of my favorites. It's just very soft. Cover a lot of space in a little amount of time. And I'm going to do my eyebrows next because I can't stand looking at them without some powder on them. Alright, so one thing I did want to say is I normally would not set my concealer with this. Mineralized Skin Finish does have a little bit of coverage to it. This one is good for my skin tone, but my face won't have any brightness in this area unless I go back in with something. I might see, and I'm just not a big fan of this either, but I have this here from MAC. Wow, I cannot for the life of me remember what this is. Hold please. Emphasize. This is, in my opinion, it just, for my skin, it's just not good. It kind of makes my, I don't know, it's just too shimmery. It's too much to set your concealer, in my opinion. It's just not pretty, in my opinion, to set the under eye area. It has a bit of a sheen to it. I don't want a sheen, you know what I mean? Actually, for the sake of the video, I'll go ahead and show you. I'm not going to put a lot on though because, like I said, I am not a big fan. So this will add some brightening, but there's also a sheen to it, and I just don't like it. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell or not. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell. The last time I used this, I washed everything off of my face. Like I took all my foundation and everything off. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan. I'm actually going to leave this palette out because I might use that color on my eyeballs. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply my eyebrows, and I'm just going to use my trusty old Brun eyeshadow, this one here, and I'm going to use a 208 brush to apply that. I've been wearing my brows kind of natural lately, so I've just kind of been going and filling in where they're sparse. Alright, I was going to go to my eyes, but I figure I might as well just go ahead and finish up with my face. I'm going to use a little bit of matte bronze. This is what it looks like. It has no shimmer to it at all. It's a bit on the, let me get my big head out of the way. It's a bit on the warm side, as you can see. And I'm going to use a MAC 137 to apply this. I had every intention of cleaning these brushes. I've already filmed this video once, but using a different palette. And I accidentally erased it along with that day's vlog. So that's why there was no, there wasn't a vlog on, was it Thursday? Because I accidentally erased it. And then I got frustrated and just decided that I needed to take a day off. Last week was really bad. It ended up getting worse. For those of you that know the story, it ended up getting worse. But now I'm actually much, much better. and I'm okay. I'm going to take this down my neck. I really like this brush. It's so fluffy. Now, if you're going to wear a shirt like I am and you're very light here compared to like your neck and your face, you can, if you want, take it all the way down. Or you can just let it sort of fade gradually down your neck. And then for blush, I am going to use a little bit of Harmony. Harmony used to be like one of my most favorite blushes in the world, and then I stopped using it. Swiss Chocolate is now like one of my favorite as well, but I haven't used Harmony a long time. Don't mind how this palette looks. This is it's like my blush and bronzer palette. It's kind of a disaster. I also use it mainly for eyes. Like, I seriously bought all of these eyeshadows over here, or these blushes over here for my eyes, not my face. So this is Harmony. We're going to use this same brush. I'm not big on blush, so I just tend to go super light with it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move back into eyes, and this is optional. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to. I'm going to take a little bit of Raisin Blush. This was one of my most favorite blushes for darker skin tones, and then I realized how nice it looked on my eyes as an eyeshadow, and I think it's going to complement this eyeshadow nicely. So what I'm going to do is just run a little bit of that through my crease. I'm going to use a 217 brush, and I'm going to use just the very tip, the narrow part of the brush, to run this through my crease. What I'm doing is concentrating most of the color in this outer corner, and then I'm just taking it through my crease. And then just blending it upward as well. Another tip that I would like to give you guys is that when you are working with different textures, so if you're working with mattes and satins, you always want to start with your mattes first, because if you start with a glitter first and then you try to put a matte in there, you're going to lose the look of that matte eyeshadow. Mattes and shimmers do not play well together. So always do your mattes first and then follow up with your shimmer shades. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is take that same color that I put all over my lid, which is this one right here, and that is called, what is that called? Natural Tease. I'm going to use a MAC 214. This is a little smudger brush. I'm just going to smudge that along my lower lash line. I know it's really hard for you guys to see this part. It's hard to look up and do this. And then what I like to do is connect the bottom to the top. Okay, then I'm going to go back into Raisin, and I'm going to run a little bit of that along the lower lash line as well, using that 221 brush. And while I'm doing this, I'm not pressing very hard. I'm just kind of using the tip of the brush. Alright, so this is kind of an afterthought. Hopefully I don't screw this entire look up, but I'm going to use a little bit of Costa Riche eyeliner. It's a kohl eyeliner. This is my all-time favorite liner ever, like hands down. So I'm going to put some of this in my waterline. Hopefully I don't screw this look up. See what happens. I like this eyeliner because it's a brownie orange. Alright, then I'm going to go back. Okay, then I'm going to go back in with the 214 brush, and I'm just going to go right along the lash line here and smudge that. Because what I did was I went in and I put eyeliner in between my lashes. There. I don't think that looks bad. Okay, what I'm going to do now is apply some mascara, and I have MAC Mineralized Mascara. I'm going to fast forward through this part because watching somebody put mascara on, it's almost painful and funny. So I'm going to spare myself the embarrassment of the funny faces and just fast forward through this part. I can't find my MAC 219 brush, which is a pencil brush, so I'm just going to use this one here and go into this gold color, and that is going to go on the inner corner here, or in the inner corner I should say. I go ahead onto lips. I'm going to use a little bit of MAC Prep and Prime Lip Primer. That's a lot of P's, isn't it? Lip primer does the same thing as eyelid primer and face primer. It gets your lips ready for lipstick. Fills in fine lines, helps your lipstick to go on smoother, look better, and last longer. So I actually have two brand new lipsticks here. I did some back to MAC today. And so even though I have as many lipsticks as I do, and the last thing I need to do is buy another one or get another one, I did it anyway. So I have these two here. This one is called Age, Sex, Location stupid name. It's a nice brown. When I swatched it in the store, it was really very pretty. These are both matte lipsticks. I just really like this. It's kind of like a mauve-y brown. It's very deceiving, isn't it? It looks like it would be super dark, but it's not. I love the color. And then this other one here is called Baby's All Right. That's what that one looks like. This one's more of a pink. Very pretty. I'm not quite sure which one to do. I think I'm gonna go with the more of mauve-y brown. We'll just go with a little bit of Hover. This is what Hover looks like. Okay, you guys, Hover did not work. So I ended up using Whirl. Whirl actually goes really well with this color here, Age, Sex, Location. All right, so now that I have this lip on with the eye, I'm not digging it, so we're gonna take it off. All right, almost done. So I'm going to go ahead and use Baby's All Right on my lips and see how that one turns out. And what I used was Whirl lip liner again. I think it looks pretty nice. Okay, so this is my look for today. It actually is a very quick look to do. If I wasn't talking, this would be a very quick look. But because I was talking, you know, obviously it takes a little bit longer. I cannot stand emphasize underneath my eyes. It's not setting right. It's not setting on top of my concealer the correct way. So in my opinion, using emphasize to set concealer it just doesn't look very good. So, but yeah, I'm definitely not liking this under eye area. This wasn't supposed to be like this. This was supposed to be like, I feel like this is one of the worst tutorials I've ever done. And I'm gonna leave it because this is life, right? Stuff happens. So I do like the lip. I really like this lip a lot. I think it's pretty. Maybe not so much with this eye look, but I do like it. I think this is a great mauve toned lipstick for fall. You guys have to tell me what you think. So anyway, that is it. If you didn't like the video, you don't have to tell me. You know what I mean? You don't have to say. Maybe I should redo it. I don't know what to do. Alright, anyway, I'm gonna go. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Have a great day, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye.